We are recording.
I call the workshop meeting of July 5th, 2022 to order at 7:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk.
Okay. This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Revised notice of this meeting was included in the notice sent to the record and advertised in said newspapers on May 29th, 2022, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as the required notices under the statute. A copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Proper notice having been given, the municipal clerk is directed to include the statement in the minutes of this meeting.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Cobb?
Here.
Councilman Cohen?
Yep.
Councilman Hamer?
Here.
Councilwoman Marin? Here. Council President Rosenzweig?
Here.
Also present is Mayor Michael Wiles, Interim City Manager Matthew Watkins. Sitting in for City Attorney Bill Bailey is David Lafferty, and the CFO and City Engineer will be here later.
All right. David, can you read the resolution for us to go into closed session?
Be it resolved by the Council of the City of Englewood pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act that the council will meet in closed session to discuss the following subject matter: personnel matters related to appointment of the city manager, personnel matters related to the appointments and promotions, potential litigation, and matters falling within the attorney-client privilege. And be it further resolved that, as precisely as can be determined at this time, the discussion conducted in said closed session can be disclosed to the public upon taking final action thereon, provided disclosure shall not violate the attorney-client privilege or constitute an undue invasion of privacy. And be it further resolved that although it is not envisioned that the council will return to open session after the meeting, the council reserves the right to do so upon the conclusion of the closed session. I think in tonight's case, we are going to return to open session.
And take actions. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
I second it. Roll call.
Councilman Cobb?
Yes.
Sorry. Councilman Cohen?
Yep.
Councilman Hamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Marin?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes. Okay, so why don't we all go down to the table there? And I'll get Rick to come in. We're recording.
Testing, test.
We're recording.
All right. So do I have a motion to return to open session?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Sorry. Councilman Cobb?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yep.
Councilman Hamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Marin?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes, so we are now back in open session. Again, I thank you all for your patience. So we now move on to the presentation of the SID budget for fiscal year 2023. The floor is yours. Again, and thank you for your flexibility tonight.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
Al Kroll, one of the co-chairmen of SID, and J.C. Raimondo, our executive director.
Can you speak closer to the mic so it can be,
Up close. Nice to see you standing,
Wow.
not in a Zoom.
I know. I would have rather been on a Zoom tonight. Anyway, Al Kroll, one of the chairman of the, vice chairman of the SID board, and J.C. Raimondo is our executive director. I know the budget was handed out to the council. I guess my first question is, if you have any questions?
So I'm passing the buck. You want to know if there's questions over questions? Okay, I'm joking.
I got to see if you're doing your homework.
Well, do you have any questions about the questions that we might have questions about?
It all depends if there's a question.
Ah, that's the question.
so what's changed from last year?
Nothing's changed from last year, except 2 years ago, we had forgiven 2 quarters of the SID taxes. Last year, we gave a credit of 1 quarter of the SID taxes. This year, for 2022-23, we're going to be running full boat at our full complement of $250,000. Okay, you can see our quick appropriations here that we've got. If you have any questions on the numbers, otherwise I can give you a brief explanation of what we're doing, which was on the second page of what you received in your packets.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. Well, the basic expenditures between the SID administrator, we pay for the car charging stations in town, our post office box rental insurances, a porter in the downtown area that we've had on and will continue to have on, cleaning of the bus stops, and then miscellaneous things, postage, office supplies. What we have on our boards, and we're trying to get done, is we have continuous landscaping services. We take care of the entire central business district. Also, in the last week, we have redone the walkway from Palisade Avenue to the municipal garage. That was just completed yesterday, believe it or not, on the holiday. So that's all been replanted. We also are going to be doing our second round of our first phase of the sidewalk cleaning that we do over 3 years through the entire central business district. Awning cleanings along Palisade Avenue. Continue with the parking meter conversions. We also have the William Street parking lot development work out to bid. We're expecting bids back this week, so we get a real fix on our estimates for that work. Next on our list is a tree study and tree removals on Palisade Avenue. There are 3 specific trees between Dean Street and Grand Angle that are pushing up sidewalks, destroying sewers, etc. And we're going to be looking into how to deal with them, if not taking them down and replacing them with decent caliber sized trees. Yeah. The next thing, the Palisade Avenue corridor maintenance. That was 3 of us from the board took a long stroll, all the way up and down Palisade Avenue, both sides from the Monument to Grand and Angle. There are a number of small projects that need to be done, whether it's concrete walk replacement, paver replacement, repairs to storefronts, retaining walls. The city is going to undertake that directly with a contractor and get that work done, hopefully over the summer. We budgeted for that, and that's in all our numbers. Otherwise, the conditions along the avenue are just laying fallow because the property owners themselves are not addressing it. So we're undertaking that task, so we look better downtown. Public access alleyways. There are 4 alleyways that lead from parking fields to the main avenues and streets. We are re-illuminating them. That deal has been let already. The equipment is being procured as we speak. JC will be contacting the property owners. We are going to be doing the upgrade to the lighting and let the owners pick up the cost for the utilities. If they push back on that, we'll offer to pay them the big $10 a month that'll equate to for the new LED fixtures in there. But it will make the downtown area that much safer. We are also undertaking, we discussed at our last meeting, an electric charger station study for the downtown area. We're going to retain a company, which should be at no cost, we're going to find out shortly, on doing an examination of where car chargers can be located in the downtown area. Not along the parking spots on Palisade Avenue, because you want those spaces to turn, but in some of the municipal lots. This is in addition to the 2 stations that we have in the municipal garage right now. It's the wave of what's coming as far as cars and things, so we want to make it more convenient. And then our semi-annual or biannual, I should say, maintenance to the garage, the municipal parking garage, as far as cleaning. There are other issues that need to be addressed as far as the garage is concerned. This is not the time or place to go into that, because that's a very lengthy list of items. Okay. Jason, what else?
Just the regular holiday decorations that SID takes care of every year. Any downtown event advertising and marketing that the chamber doesn't do, the city contributes to if the city requests it, and then our professional fees, which are our auditors, bookkeeper, and our corporate annual registration. That's it.
So we continue to try to make Englewood a better place. So,
Hope so.
do you have any questions? Charles?
Al, this is a question that kind of comes all the time, I hear, for those of us who walk the avenue. The litter, the cleaning of the avenue, how often do you clean it? And, you know, what's the commitment? It seems like between Friday through Sunday, Monday, there's more litter there than most times.
That would make sense. It's Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. They go up and down.
So then
Sunset Avenue.
we got a gap in between there.
Absolutely.
And that's where we have, you know, it seems like, okay, if you go Monday through Friday, so Saturday, Sunday, we kind of hit it until, I guess, until Monday
Monday
morning it
morning.
gets better. But obviously, it has been an eyesore in certain areas there.
If that's an observed condition, we can discuss it with the company. who takes care of it.
But I also know that, and I'll ask you this just a little point off, Councilman Hamer and I have been standing by that, you know, the breezeway between McDonald's, I don't know who owns that, you know, where McDonald's is, the breezeway there.
Yep.
And we saw that some trees are up and some bricks are up, and we don't know. Did you ever find out?
No, I haven't yet.
The alleyway
It may be
between Linda
that-
and the other buildings?
That may be the,
belongs to
that may be
retail
the,
Center.
hmm?
That belongs to the retail center that's across from McDonald's.
Oh, that's who's
Correct.
responsible for that?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Because the bricks and stuff, so we can deal with that in another form or fashion with those people. But, you know, it would definitely help how it looks. It's a cosmetic eyesore there,
Absolutely.
you know, those
What I was-
trees.
What I was bringing up as far as the main avenue, and,
Yep.
you know, repairs that we want to do are more of a public concern.
Right.
Not that that's not a public concern, but.
Well, my
Sidewalk.
only concern is that the litter is significant there. I'm gonna tell you, it's just,
Yeah.
I think people just come out and just put the bags on the ground. That's what it looks like.
They
I
might
mean,
just do that.
you know, seriously, so I guess we don't notice it as much if you come Monday through Friday, as you said, that's when you have somebody out there doing it, but I guess after that part, and that's usually what people notice, even if it's one day or two, that you have that traffic there, that, you know, so I guess we gotta figure out how we can make it better with coordination with the city and the CID to work on that one together, you know, have a collaborative effort, you know, if we're doing something as well, so that we can fill in that gap or something.
Okay.
I have a question. Judy Marin, hello. You happen to, oh, right. I know. PSE&G poll, you skipped over it, and I'm just wondering what that refers to under management and maintenance.
Actually, we've been working with the city in collaboration with that because there's a lot of light bulbs and plates, light pole plates that are missing, and it's all PSE&G's property. So I know you've made some advancement with working with.
We put together a list of the
Yeah.
fixtures that have been out for quite some time and missing access plates to some of the poles, which are dangerous. And we put a list together. Actually, Walter, your subcode official, has been on top of that with Public Service. I don't know what the status is currently, but I know he's been in active conversation with Public Service.
Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else?
Anyone else? Quick.
Just two quick things. One, I'm pretty sure you said at the beginning, but I guess I just missed it. Oh, sorry. But the budget's the same as last year, number-wise, what you said?
The
Or the-
budget slightly increased from
Okay.
last year
What-
because we're now having
What?
4 full quarters of tax.
Right, so, but I'm saying, but on a per quarter basis, it's the same spend?
Yes.
Okay, nothing, I mean, with COVID it is what it is, but, yeah. And just, one quick thing, so I'm not even sure, I don't even think it's something that CID can do. But when we're talking about electric, plug-ins for electric cars and whatnot, I don't think we, the lot behind City Hall, we rent that, we don't own that, right? Because I was thinking, is that somewhere where you're considering putting also, I don't think we own that, though.
Behind the scenes.
We own it.
We own that? I thought we rent out spots from it, right? Yeah. So is that one place that that would be a consideration also for?
When we get a company on to do the survey, we're going to ask them for their recommendations.
Because I'm just saying for the future, if we ever want for city cars or whatnot, I don't know, just another place to think about.
Well, we're candidly looking at it for more customers and people coming into town instead of city employees and city cars. But that's something that can be discussed, because one of the companies we're going to be speaking to derives their income from advertising, not necessarily from charging fees.
Would
So-
the company, I forgot who do we rent those spots out to? Is it Bergen Pack we rent it out to? Would it be worth the conversation to see if they're renting out the spots, if they'd have interest in working with you on those spots?
We could.
I can't hurt the conversation, can't hurt.
I
Worst
don't know if
case,
there are
no.
any empty spots back there, but absolutely.
No, they rent out spots from us in that parking lot.
Bergen Pack.
Yeah, so it might be worth having a conversation to see if there's a collaborative effort there for some of those spots. Thanks.
Okay.
Ken?
Yeah, please.
What an exceptional job you've done, and you went easy on the companies in the Central Business District. But it's interesting, this earlier today, we know that there's a John George restaurant coming right into the Central Business District, and I got 3 photos of 3 different people, homeless people living on benches in our city. I know that the county tried to address it, and some of the intelligence that we received from our police department, which is best suited to deal with this, learned that these were some employees that just didn't want to commute in the summer months and were sleeping locally in McKay Park or whatever it is. But since beautification of the Central Business District is your governing task, I would just ask that you bring it up with the police department directly too. I plan on reaching out to the police authority on this and the county and so forth. But from your standpoint, what we can do to enhance Veterans Park and that whole area would be something I'd like you to meet with the ownership there, so that we deal with this problem thoughtfully for the people that are there and in the big picture, so that it doesn't become an area that gets even worse.
I would agree. I know we're having more issues just at Palisades Court with regard to people hanging out and other things going on, so we're in almost constant communication.
Thank you.
With the police department, so absolutely.
Yeah, but if the pressure isn't from an elected official, but from an aesthetic group that has commerce in mind, it's a better narrative and it's more sympathetic to some of the challenges that we have.
Agree. Anyone else? All right. Okay. Thank you for the time.
Thank you
You.
very much.
Okay.
Take care.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the introduction of the Englewood Special Improvement District budget for fiscal year 2023?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Hamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maren?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes. And thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Watkins?
Thank you. I'm going to just take 1 second to hand this out.
Did you want to go down there or stay up here?
I'd actually like to go down there if I may.
Yeah.
I was already on
It's
there.
okay if I eat some popcorn there?
So thank you for letting me come stand here. It's a little better. I feel like I'm connected. Sitting there, I'm isolated. What you have in front of you hopefully is the beginning, emphasize beginning, of what I intend to pass on to anybody that next city manager, but more to give you a lot of information. And what I'm looking for today is a decision on getting rid of more than 50% of our on-the-books capital ordinances that are no longer needed. So what I've done is I've taken each one of our 25 ordinances and expressed them in in descriptions of the projects that they're attended to. Now, the 22, there is still information that we're working on. I'm very sorry that we just could not get all of this done as I had hoped. There was a lot of information, a lot of research that had to go into this, but it gives you a sense of it. And in the red is, it gives you some of the status that is attended to each project in the ordinances for 22, 21, 2019, and then we get into 2018-09. You see some of these projects. Obviously, some of the numbers in there that have negatives, it's just another, there's a shifting of the budget that has to be done internally. But what we did is we've structured all the capital ordinances in a line item fashion that we do it within the books, so that at any time this governing body asks for, give me the status of all our capital ordinances, you have it. It's not a matter, it doesn't need to be created, it needs to be printed and submitted to you. All right? I'm saying that there should be no excuse not to give you what you need. But the critical part, and this will be updated at the next meeting, and a lot of it depends on your direction today. In the ordinances that are older than 2018-09, 2017, you see that there are balances left in there, and next to it in the status is what I'm looking to cancel. Okay? We don't need this much. These are projects that are old. You see a green highlight is where we need to keep that money. So those ordinances in their entirety don't get canceled, but the projects, but for those one projects, in this case, environmental remediation at DPW, we're still using that money, and we want to continue that. 2016, you have 2 projects that are remaining, storm sewer system repairs. We're still looking to use some of that money for some of the storm drains, particularly initiative to clean out the culverts that are flooding on us. Firehouse, 2015, we just canceled that ordinance. We don't need it. There's only $2,100 left in there. 2015, 1 project left, and that's the culverts. Again, we're using that to address some of our flooding issues that I know that Councilman Cobb has brought up to me, you have brought up to me, others have brought up to me. We want to address those, and so we keep those ordinances intact. 14, 16, 13, 11, all those get canceled. 1306, we have a couple things that we're keeping there. 1301 is over Pet Creek. We're going to keep that for the moment. 1220, all the way down through the rest of them back to 2001. We're getting rid of all those ordinances. The only one that I will quote we're getting rid of them if you agree. 2008-07 was an assessment ordinance. We think that we're done with that project. We think we can get rid of it, but we're just checking a legal to make sure, because it was an assessment project. We want to make sure that we can cancel it as it is now. If you agree tonight, that will start in motion where at the next council meeting, you will introduce an ordinance canceling 15 of these ordinances. We then are down to 10 ordinances that we keep capital ordinances. And that, I will tell you of an option. I do not recommend it, and that is on page 7, what I call restructured or leave as is category. This is the green. This matches the green highlighted areas above. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ordinances there. They could be restructured into another ordinance, make it one clean ordinance at $1.7 million. I do not recommend that. I mean, I'd love to clean these up. I'd love to get rid of these ordinances. It's the right thing to do. But you've already paid to have these ordinances done, and it just financially doesn't make sense to have to redo it just for the sake of having it cleaned off. So I don't recommend it, but I'm telling you that is an option to do. And I don't think, I know that on all these issues that we're asking to keep, that all of you at one time or another have expressed interest in addressing issues that these five ordinances address. So this is a significant cleanup and gives you status of where we are. By the time, certainly by the end of this month, we will have all these statuses up to date and exact so that you have a clean record of every capital project that we have, those that we've done, those that we plan to do. Okay? I think that was part of something that I know Councilman Hamer had talked to me about, Councilman Cobb had talked to me about, Councilman Rose, or Council President has talked to me about. All of you have said this is an issue that we want to make sure is cleared up. So that is the first question, and I know this is a lot of information to look at right on the fly. I ask you to take it, digest it. Have any questions, send them to me. I will get answers back right away. The staff took a lot of time to get all this put together. The CFO has worked to get everything into its own line item within a budget so that he can report this out whenever you ask for it, but at a minimum, he should be giving this stuff every quarter so that you have an update and you know what's going on with each of these projects. There are no more guessing. So I am going to ask, when I'm done with this all, that if you agreed to cancel these ordinances. I've met with the auditor. The auditor has reviewed all this that we're recommending. Bond counsel has reviewed this and what we're recommending and agreed with it. Those recommendations is our recommendation to you to address the capital projects that you have ongoing. I also promised you the last meeting, or actually in conversations, a review of the American Rescue Plan, the ARP monies. As you know, we're getting about almost $3 million to do things. The problem is, it's federal money is always very tricky. It's always seems to change, especially this one. So I was wanting to do the projects that I put in here under consideration. First of all, interesting to listen to the SID. I wanted to put money to pay them back for the parking meters. They do have the revenue numbers that they were looking for, but I think that this town should just pay the SID back the $150,000 that they put out for the meters and get that money back to them so they can address the litter on Palisades, the raised sidewalks. Those things should be taken care of today, not wait until they have the money or wait for anything. Let's go. That's what I want to do. I want to put in, I think that we should look at replacing the old meters that are outside the parameters where they put the new meters, that we should look at doing kiosk meters. They work very well. I've used them, I've replaced them in other towns because you save 45% annually on the cost of a metered parking space. I think that that's important. And I wanted to put the money to that. I'll get to the reason why I can't, but I think these are projects that are important and could be done next year. I think that we need to address the HVAC in this building, which is limping along. And City Hall needs, although they don't have air conditioning, we have each little window unit, so it's extremely inefficient. We should address that. We should address the pool, improvements to the skating rink and the pool. And then, it was mentioned even here tonight, parking garage has a lot of problems. I've already committed to some money, not a lot of money, but the garage needs to be professionally evaluated. That's an asset. To replace that garage today would be in the range of $6 to $8 million. And garages don't just stay built. You have to maintain them. Drainage needs to be maintained. The concrete needs to be maintained. All those things need to be done. And I think this city should step up and do those things. I was proposing to use the ARP money to do that. The problem is that they changed the rules within the last 6 months. That we really need to use this in a budgetary setting. So we're already well into 2022. So perhaps we look at 2023 and use it as a revenue replacement, and then there's a technique to do it so that you can pay for it out of the budget in 2023. We could do it in 2022, but it would draw so much attention to the city by the federal government for auditing requirements that it basically wouldn't be worth doing it. I think that what I would like to do, and I'm putting these projects in front of you with costs associated with them, so that you can get back to me and say, yeah, we really should be doing that, or we should be doing this. And we can fit that into some of these ordinances that we have remaining. We just have to reappropriate. Now you have all the information to say, let's not put that money there, let's put it here and get these things done. These projects that I'm recommending under the ARP, I think are vital, are critical to this city, and important to maintain and do over the next year. So that's a lot in a very little time, but I'm not one to talk a lot, although sometimes evidence says otherwise, but I'd like to think that I don't. I am hopeful, sincerely hopeful, that this is something that you have wanted, you've asked for, and I hope that I achieved it. Not quite 100% like I wanted to, but just run out of time, you know, and I needed to get this to you, but I think this will goes a long way to fix up some of the capital ordinances, but most importantly, it tells you where things are. We're going to break this down a little better, a little more detail, which you'll get routinely, but you have a format, you have something to look at, you have something to contemplate. And what I'm asking for tonight is that you, if you agree that we cancel these ordinances that we do not need, get them off the books. That's close to $3 million, really, of that 15 ordinances didn't total to $3 million. What remains totals to about $3 million, just under. And we don't need it. And, you know, one could argue that we could use it, but I argue these are too old. This is just a messy house. Let's clean it up. Yes, sir.
So, Mr. Watkins, I'm in favor of doing the debt cleanup. I am very much concerned, though, about the enhancements or the improvements or changes to the infrastructure, the culverts and the issues you have here for Overpeck Creek and the sanitary storm dredging in Miller's Pond and improvements to culverts and sanitary storm system. You know, all of those items are critical items that we need to address.
Yes.
So if we're going to do some cancellations of, you know, those ordinances that created that money, put it into reserve, I do absolutely think that we need to keep those items front and center.
Right.
And, you know, the cancellations of, you know, every other item can be restructured in some other way or put into another capital request. But those things that we already have designated, you know, relative to improvements to infrastructure that will make a difference. We don't know how much of a difference, but we all know that cleaning some of that debris out of, you know, all of these culverts and waterways will make a difference in terms of flow getting down to Overpeck Canal and, you know, from Northern Valley. See, even your microphone agrees with me. So, but
I think it
that's
just needs
the
to be
point.
replaced, but, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off. And I don't.
You haven't, I've finished.
What we're doing within everything that you have here is not taking anything away from those projects whatsoever. Anything to do with, and we cover it with the other ordinances, the newer ordinances, the old stuff, we don't, you know, it's too old, and the cost to do it, to change it, to make it right, would be very expensive. We want to make sure that we have the money to go in, to clear those culverts, to improve the drainage system that's in here. You also got, this past weekend, you got the whole list of all the projects that are being addressed in FEMA. There's 3 pages of projects, millions of dollars that were well, $3.6 million that we're asking FEMA for in order to fix culverts. What I'm trying to do, and I've told some of you this, what I'm trying to do is address the issue with FEMA that cleaning the culverts helps to mitigate future flooding. And that is something that they want done. And so I'm just saying you need to pay for that. So that's why we have a pretty large sum of money that we're keeping in the 22 ordinance that really addresses the FEMA match, if you will, because it goes back, it depends on what the damage was, whether they'll pay 90% of it or 75%. And all that's being figured out now. But that, nowhere in here are we wanting to take away from cleaning addressing the storm drains and the drainage system. In fact, one of the things that I want to do is enhance our preparation, and I think Councilman Cobb for this idea is to you know, be prepared when we are anticipating flooding, that we have an OEM system set up so that those areas that we know flood, that we're ready for pumps, you know, rescue boats if we need them, because we only have 1. Pumps, we have 0. Generators, we have 0. So all those things we do want to attend. In fact, what we're able to do with some of this cancellation and some of these funds that now are that had funding in them. Remember that in a bond authorization, you get what's authorized to borrow, and then what you actually borrow, and two completely different things. So I always equate it to a credit card. You have a line of credit, but you don't use all that. You only pay on what you borrow. Same here, and we have some ordinances that had funding in them, so we're going to take that money and it becomes a capital surplus that we can use to do additional things that are capital related, such as OEM preparation, which in this city is sorely needed right now, not next year, not next fall, now. It's going to rain, later this week. Hopefully it doesn't flood. But we want to be prepared, and we need to have this will get us capital money in order for us to pay for those items right now. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Matt, first of all, I think this is terrific. I'm really surprised that we're at a state where we needed this kind of cleanup. I always made the assumption that this was something that was done along the way as things happened. My confusion, and because I'm not really that familiar with this whole process, when you eliminate, when you talk to, I am sure that at the time these were proposed as ordinances, they were thought of as projects that had to be done.
Right.
So what I would like to know, in all of the cancel, because I see some of them and they're general enough so that they probably were done already, but
Right.
allocated to other whatever.
They were. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm going to, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
What you see, the numbers that you see under a particular project, that's the amount remaining in the authorization. That's not what was original.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
I know,
Okay.
and I would have loved to have given you the original number and what was remaining.
Okay.
These are, I need to borrow, $10,000 to fix my driveway. Well, the contract came in at $8,500, so I have $1,500 left. That's what all this is. That's all it is.
That makes sense. Okay, that was my
I
question.
knew where you were going, so sorry I interrupted.
No,
but
perfect.
I
Thank you.
Figured I could answer it quickly. No.
So Matt, I think what would be helpful, and I think you mentioned it early on, you talked to the auditor and you talked to bond counsel.
Yes.
I would like them to provide us in writing something, the feedback, saying this is what it is, because once you're gone, but also, more importantly, with the auditor, which rubs me the wrong way, is that those are the kind of guidances that they should be doing, because if they're auditing our books, they would look and say, you have these things, or what we should be doing is asking for this to be in scope for the next audit to say, here it is. So that would be part of the audit report, right? When you look at that, anything, this goes back to, how we manage our budget and the capital, right? Because this is part of, this is where the rubber meets the road, right? So I would like, since they've said that and they agreed with you, to put that in writing, because then that will be it should be part of the audit report the next year, saying that we recommended or we agreed with the actions taken by the city and canceling
Sure.
X, so we're on the record. Listen, you won't be here, but the audit trail will be here, and it stands to support the actions that were taken, for these events, and that's my concern.
Yes, sir.
And also going forward, how do we track that? And we ask them when we go to our, when they do our audit now, we should make sure that this is in scope, so that they update this, so that when they hand us the audit report saying, yes, we did this, and also have that conversation when we meet with bond counsel, whatever they give us as well, that's an ask we should have for them annually.
Yes, sir. I agree, and I will instruct the auditor
Absolutely.
accordingly. I think, to go back to you, Councilwoman Marin, is that a lot of towns, unfortunately, I was one time the director of local government. I saw all this for all 565 towns. It is not unusual for this to be like this. We're not the exception. I know Inglewood's unique, but we're not in this case. It's unfortunate, I think. In fact, as a director, I made towns go back and do this work before they could come back to the local finance board. So I think it's critical, and it's just something that, you know, in the hubbub of everything else that goes on in the town, it's something that doesn't get looked at all the time. I think that, you know, the CFO and I have worked close together on this to make sure that he understands that in the future, these things need to come to you routinely so that you have them, and that he has a working document to go off of so that he can maintain that over the years to come. And I will do just what you said. I will instruct the auditor. It's the auditor, the bond counsel. He's not, that's not his
Right.
area.
But that's the
He
one.
wants to make sure that we don't say we're bonding to buy tables and we go out and buy
Right.
the city manager a motorcycle. So, you know, that's what he's there.
And I think that my last comment around this is that what would have been helpful, I understand you giving it to us tonight, if we would have saw the original ordinances with this.
I know.
You know, that would have been helpful.
know.
If we could get that at some point, so we can tie it back and understand
Sure.
what the ask was originally on these things. You know, it's good that you got, you know, 1301, but
Yeah.
that's not relevant.
You don't
To
remember.
most people here, it's not relevant because we probably weren't on the council at that time, right? So, yeah, we don't remember. It is what it is. So, you know, the language and what it was about specifically, you know, and I think going forward, if we do that, it'll help.
And I will do that. What I will do, though, so bond ordinance, as you well know, you've seen lots of them. It's very, you know, it's 2 pages or 1 page really, sometimes that's got the information you're asking for, and then 20 pages of stuff you'll never really need. It's all the technical side of it. So I will get you the culmination of all those. I have them all.
Okay.
It's just, it's a, frankly, it's a clerical thing to go through and cut and paste. But I'll get it. Not, fair enough. And, you know, my issue was to try to keep this is 25 ordinances and hundreds of line items synthesized down to this, because you need to see the big picture. Always welcome you to give the detail, no questions asked. I just didn't do it before this meeting, because I want to get this to you. I want to finish this. This is something that I said all along is a big priority. You guys obviously stated the same thing. That's where I got it from, right? That this is a priority. So what I would like to do is to go through with the cancellation of 15 of these ordinances. None of them have any of the projects that you're talking about. They're green. Those are staying intact. We will use them accordingly. And we will refine the status of each. And then I need to work on the ARP money. I will work with Michael on that to make sure that we're able to use that. In the meantime, I still think that I want to provide a plan to return to the SID their money and to get on to the parking projects, because those to me, first of all, they are revenue to the township, to the city, and it also makes life a lot easier for those people who are wanting to park in Englewood and visit our restaurant, so, and stores. So there is work to be done, and I'm trying to set this up so that it can, the proverbial balls pushed down the road and can be picked up in the future and doesn't get lost. One second, just to finish a thought. It's really important to me, in an effort to keep this going, that this says everything that you needed to say so that you're comfortable with future decisions that you have to make. So if you see anything in here that you say, you know, Matt, I really wish we had this information to the ordinance, let me know, like you were asking. Let me see what the original ordinance was. But done, easy done, right? So, but I need to have that feedback so that I make sure that I get this right and that this document shows up on your desk, at least a few times a year.
Great.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned something about the parking garage,
Yes.
right? We're partners in the parking garage.
Right.
So we got to talk to the partner, and there's a new owner of that building now, from what I understand.
Okay.
So you might have to have a conversation with that person.
Thank you.
As I understand, I think that before we enter into anything, that's why they painted the building a different color now. You see the building's been painted.
Yeah, I saw that today.
Yeah. So who knows what that person's ideas are?
I will, and my intention was clearly to sit down with the SID folks and talk to them about that. Because we have other things that were mentioned here this evening, sidewalks lifting and trees and stuff like that, litter. I've got a number of ideas I'd like them to go forward with.
Great.
So Matt, so the next step, do you think we'll have, so David, so do you think we'll have an ordinance for the next meeting?
Yes.
On this? Okay.
Staff is, the bond council, I talked to them, they were all part of this when it was coming through. I told them, this is what you need to do. I've worked actually with this bond council, so he knows exactly what I'm expecting. So if council is in agreement, it will be on the agenda for the 19th.
Great,
of
and
July.
voted on, do we need more than 2 weeks for that?
You need 2 readings.
10 days, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so
you'll need-
usual
You'll
ordinance.
need to introduce it on the 19th, and you'll need the...
On the
10
5th or
days.
something.
Really just, it's, you don't have to rush through it. I mean, you can give it a full month and everything like that, because you're just canceling.
Okay. And just of interest to me, like, some of the projects that you're so when it says status cancel, it means really recommend cancel.
Right.
Yeah. So some are very obvious, $2,900 left, $20 left, There's like one with $500,000 left. Well, what do you think happened there?
They just overestimated the cost.
Okay, by that much?
Oh,
Yeah,
sure,
okay.
sure. I mean, you've got projects in here that were overestimated by close to $1 million.
Okay.
I don't know exactly what happened, and this goes to Councilman Cobb's point, what was originally in there? And I don't know, and I didn't,
Okay,
honestly,
all
I
right.
didn't go back to find out.
Okay.
What I did was, all the department heads saw what was getting canceled. Do you have things that you want to keep? Is there anything here that that you had your eye on that 20,000 or 30,000 to do something, and I just pulled it out from underneath your rug, underneath your feet? Did you have? And they gave me comments, and I preserved some of them I rejected. Said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not keeping that for that. That ordinance, to me, an ordinance that was done in 2008 is it's a personal thing, really. I mean, it's my opinion, as one who's done this for 45 years, that this is that's just wrong. You need to redo things then. You look at things with a new eye. Some people disagree with me, and it's your city, you're the governing body. You can tell me I disagree, and that's the way we go. This is my recommendation that I think is important, and it also cleans up a lot. It also makes your bond ratio now is going to drop. All those things that are rating agencies look at the town. I know they look at this, and because I talked to them for decades, it is important. It shows that we're on the ball.
Just for the record, did you approve or deny the motorcycles?
Council President, I asked for a motorcycle in every budget, everywhere I am. I haven't gotten one yet.
Okay. We're going to keep that streak alive then. All right, any final comments or questions? Mayor, looks like, okay, great.
No, I just want to say how impressed I am that an interim city manager wants to leave us in a way that consolidates and gets bad things off the books and gets best practices here. It's an amazing professionalism that you have.
Thank you,
I
Matt.
appreciate that.
So do you want to go on to the camera project?
I'm sorry?
You also want to discuss the camera?
Camera project. So this is something that Deputy Chief really started actually back several months ago, presented it to me to put a series of cameras that would be monitored by the police department throughout the city. It's sort of to monitor those streets that come in and out. So, as you know, when you have crimes, people many times they come into the city from a major road connecting from out of town. They come in, do their crime, and then bolt out that way, and we're stuck trying to figure out who it was, where they went. Also, there are just sections where people tend to congregate, and we want to have a system of cameras to monitor that. I did this back in 1995 in a city where I had a lot of problems, and it cost a lot of money. This, we're doing 30 cameras throughout the town. You have a map showing where all of them are, and we monitor them. The police monitor it 24/7, and also there's recording devices to it so that should a crime be committed, you all know well enough that video feeds always pay off when you can see it. Many crimes have been solved by that. It really helps us out. Big thing here is we're using forfeiture money. This is money that the city received when a crime was solved and by our police department. That money is in a fund, secure. We would like to institute this. It is $340,000, but the amount of safety, public safety this brings to this city and the tools that it provides to our police department are immeasurable. And we're ready to move. We're doing it through a co-op purchase with Bergen County. There is no taxpayers' money that goes to this. It's money that we have from crime that were committed in the city that we recovered. The stolen vehicles and stuff like that we sold, and we have the money for that. So I think it's poetic, frankly, not to be high-handed, but I think it's poetic that the money that we receive from criminal activity is going to solve criminal activity and keep this town, add one more thing that makes this town safer, gives us the tools to make this town safer, and I'm asking for your approval, and with that approval, we'll have this up in short order. If you have no objection, and Council President, I've talked to you before, that if you have no objection and this is it, then I ask for your approval, but I'd ask to be excused from the meeting. I have medical things to attend to tomorrow, and if there's no other questions for me.
Matt, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So with regard to the installation of these cameras, the 30 cameras.
Yes.
The issue of privacy, is front and center. It's an absolute must that we do whatever we can do relative to, getting rid of crime, or at least making a dent in crime, because we'll never get rid of it totally. But with regard to privacy for, not everyone's involved in these situations, and, how do we manage that?
So this is a system that's in many communities throughout the United States. It's first of all, it's only monitored by police. It is not public record. It is far back enough and focused on the street itself. It's not focused in any other place. So it's no more than a Google camera. Actually, Google camera is more intrusive than that. But So we do maintain that privacy, absolutely.
And with regard to data storage, those fees get to be astronomical. Is that part of this forfeiture
Yes.
funding, that we'll be using some of that on
Yes.
an ongoing basis, or we'll get enough of it at the front end so that we can deal with it for a while before the city has to start paying for it?
The latter, yes. We're trying to make forfeiture pay for every single thing and go throw that forward. So you won't see that show up in a budget anywhere, hopefully never.
Okay.
But if you do, it's probably 3 years away.
And one last point before you leave, it's twofold. In utilizing the cameras, if we do two things, if we prune back the trees in the intersections that we're using, that gives greater visibility.
Right.
If we increase the foot candles in the street and utility poles, then that also gives greater visibility, and it also serves as some degree of a deterrent. So, please take those things into consideration.
Yes, what we're doing, and I think I've reported on this, is we are working hand in hand with PSE&G to put in areas that are sensitive and that have had problems, putting in LED lighting, which I think even the SID mentioned that it's actually cheaper, brighter, better, and we're working with PSE&G to trim back trees, because it's usually in their wires. Anywhere that we can, we're going to take care of that. What I'd ask all of you, as I've said to some of you, if you see a spot where you think it's bad and you see a telephone pole, just look at, they're actually power poles, there's a number on them, just send it to me, we'll get that. We have submitted literally hundreds of requests to PSE&G for streetlights that we know are out. We're working to maintain that. PSE&G, a little slow. We're going to have a conversation in about 2 weeks with PSE&G, one that they've used to having with me, which is not a real pleasant conversation, but I think sometimes you got to be very stern to get the point across. And I've had those conversations many times. We're going to get it one more time from me. And say, what are you doing in Englewood now?
Matt?
Yes, sir.
The cases have been clear that there's really no expectation of privacy, particularly as in an airport and so forth, and it's probably more professional, and privacy can be enhanced by the placement of cameras and dealing with foliage than with ring cameras.
Right.
I'm going to send you an email I got from a resident today from Parkview Terrace who's taking pictures of license plates and trucks and cars and people that are congregating and concerned about it. Obviously, it's the balancing of all this and making sure that we have these cameras placed or poised, if you would, in all 4 wards, not particularly in one over another,
Yeah.
and in a way that will actually be monitored by the police department.
That's right.
It's not subject to Oprah, I presume, under security or safety and privacy concerns?
As far as I'm concerned, that's true. sir.
And all of these monies are funds that we have from forfeiture on crimes that took place within the city limits?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean,
Good help.
I appreciate your indulgence with my timing, and I apologize, but I appreciate very much, Council President, your indulgence to allow me to be excused.
yeah, so please get home safely, and I'm sure we'll be talking later in the week.
Thank you.
All right. Joe. Okay, City Clerk, can you please read the title of ordinance 22-09? Oh, it's a long one, sorry.
Yes. Bond ordinance amending bond ordinance number 19-10, finally adopted by the City Council of the City of Englewood in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey on August 20th, 2019, and entitled Bond Ordinance Providing for Various 2019 Capital Improvements by and in the City of Englewood. Sorry. put this covering it, in the County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, appropriating $10,125,000 thereof and authorizing the issuance of $9,624,854 in bonds or notes of the city to finance part of the cost thereof, to decrease the total appropriation therein to $5,125,000, to decrease the authorization of bonds or notes of the city therein to $4,642,854, to decrease the grant therein to $125,000, and to amend the description and other provisions therein.
I missed a word. Can you say it again? Just kidding. Okay. So this is the ordinance that Matt touched on it actually very briefly. The money was appropriated in case the library got a grant that we would match it. The library didn't get the grant, so now we're canceling the matching funds from the capital budget. So I declare the public hearing on this ordinance is now open. Anyone who desires to be heard or to ask questions concerning this ordinance will be heard at this time. Okay, seeing none, I close the public hearing for this ordinance. Do I have a motion for ordinance 22?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion amongst the council? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Hamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maren?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes, so it passes. So now we have our agenda items, resolutions 173, 178, and 179 through 182 to be voted on. And now I will open the public comments on the agenda resolutions. So just these handful of resolutions. If anyone from the public wishes to comment on this. Okay, seeing none. Do any of these, does anyone on the council wish to separate out any of these?
It's not a consent.
Oh, it's not a consent agenda, so we're going to go one by one? Excellent. Okay, is there a motion to move Resolution 173, appoint Traffic Advisory Committee members? Okay, I second it. A roll call?
Councilman Kopp? Sorry. Question?
It's a Leslie Simpson and a fellow from the first floor, Joe, remember his name, Durham? It was in the packet.
We discussed it at the last meeting.
Here, Charles.
Sorry, I got it. Don't worry.
Councilman Kopp, did you want to vote? The roll call?
Yes.
Did you have a question or?
No.
Okay.
So roll call, you vote, how do you vote?
I said yes.
Yes, thank you. Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Hamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maren?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes. We now move to Resolution 178, renewal of liquor licenses for Columbia Caliente LLC. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Question.
Hmm?
Question.
Oh, sorry.
Just want to find out, it says renewal of this license. When was it issued?
This is for, it was a person-to-person transfer, so now they have possession of, it was done person-to-person and place-to-place beginning last year, so they have possession of it, but they couldn't renew it with the last batch because it's inactive, so they needed a 1239 ruling from the director of ABC. They received their 1239 ruling, so now you're able to renew it.
Did the name change for the holder of the license in that period, the prior license, or was it under this name?
Through the person-to-person, it was Columbia Caliente.
Good, thank you.
Okay to vote on it, Wayne? Okay. Roll
Yes.
call, please.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Hamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maren?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes, so that passes. Resolution 179, amending the list of vehicles to junk. Anything on this?
So moved.
Nancy? What's that?
Second.
Okay, it's moved. Roll call?
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Hamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maren?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes. Okay, this one we might want to discuss briefly. Resolution 180, authorizing the demolition of a building located at 334 Washington Place pursuant to the City Code 152-3. So let's move in, and then if there are any questions.
I'd like to speak to it. I guess after it's
Yeah.
introduced, then can make a comment on what's being asked for here and what we're going to vote on.
Okay.
I move for introduction.
Is there a second? I'll second it then. So, David, are you familiar with what this is?
I am, and apparently our office did prepare a resolution, but it never made it to the clerk's desk. So we can do this orally tonight and follow up with a printed resolution tomorrow. But the building department, building code enforcement conducted an inspection of the property, I believe on June 28th. Issued a notice of violation finding the structure to be a unsafe condition, providing adequate notice to the property owners to allow them to demolish the structure on their own, and in default thereof, that the city would take it upon themselves to demolish the structure in order to address the unsafe and hazardous condition of the property pursuant to City Ordinance 152-2, Section E. So the motion is to authorize the city to proceed according to the ordinance in default of the owners taking the action to demolish the structure. The city will do it in their place.
So Wayne, any questions or comments further?
Comment. Just want, and it doesn't have to be now. I can do it when I vote. But I just wanted to speak to this issue. This resolution is a result of about 5 or 6 years worth of asking and harassing to try to get action on. There's a dilapidated structure at 334 Washington Place that has been slowly falling apart, and I've asked code enforcement, and they've been challenged by ownership and researching and what have you. But at long last, we've gotten to the point where this property, this building on this property is going to be demolished. So I do want to thank the attorney, the solicitor's firm, the code enforcement department, DPW, and primarily I want to thank Matt Watkins. And I'm sorry he stepped away because he had to leave the meeting, for being the impetus to move this along and finally get it to the point where we're going to take this vote tonight. The family who lived directly behind this property has had to face this, or have this building look down in their backyard for, as long as they've lived in Englewood, and nobody should have to go through this. So I do hope that if we have similar issues, and I hope we don't have any, but if we have similar issues that come up, we have a smoother process, a well-oiled process that will allow things to move a lot faster and more efficiently. But I'm very glad that we are finally taking action on this eyesore and unsafe building.
All right, thank you.
Councilman Hamer, is that barn-looking structure
It
on
is.
Washington Place?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Finally.
All right, so roll call, please.
Councilman Cuff?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen? Councilman Hamer?
Absolutely, yes.
Councilwoman Maren?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes. So that passes. Resolution 18, and you'll get that? Yeah, okay.
The clerk will have it tomorrow.
Thank you. Resolution 181, support the application, New Jersey, okay, I'm slurring my words here. Okay, resolution of support from City of Englewood to submit an application to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs, American Rescue Plan firefighter grant. So support of a grant. Is there-
So move.
Second, Councilman Hamer seconds. Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Councilman Cuff?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yep.
Councilman Hamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Maren?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes, so it passes. Finally, Resolution 182, another grant application for the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the West Street Improvement Project. Any
So
mo-
move.
I second it. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman Cuff?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yep.
Councilman Hamer?
This isn't part of the discussion, just wanted to tell people what it is. It's the area of West Street that's located in between Tallman Place and Demorest. So this is correcting or continuing to correct another part of West Street that sorely needs attention. My vote is yes.
Thank you. Councilwoman Maren?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes. All right, some resolutions for discussion. The NPP Gov National Cooperative Purchasing System. You here to talk about it, or? Yeah, want to come up? You've been patiently waiting all night. It's time for your
If
spotlight.
there were any questions on it. Just real quick, in 2022 capital, we're looking to purchase a breathing air compressor for the firehouse. The compressor's under this national buying cooperative. We're looking to join the cooperative. There's no fee in joining the cooperative. It's not available under a New Jersey state contract. This is a buying cooperative on the West Coast. We're just looking to get the resolution passed so we can purchase the compressor without having to go out to bid on it. So that's what we're looking to do.
All right, so we will have this as a resolution for the next meeting? Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Anyway, any questions for Deputy Chief? Okay, all right, pretty cut and dry. Judy, did you want to address the resolution on reproductive rights?
I don't see it on my agenda.
We're discussing it for a possible resolution for next week,
Oh.
next meeting.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
obviously with the Roe versus Wade overturning,
I understand, yes. I wanted recognition for what has happened to all the women in the United States with us losing the rights to make decisions about our own bodies. It is a travesty what this Supreme Court has done. I'm thankful that at least in our state of New Jersey, New York State, Connecticut, they are upholding the rights of women. And I've said this many times. You can be anti-abortion or pro-abortion. That is not the issue. The issue is each woman has the right to make her own decision. And no one, especially that particular group of our Supreme Court, should be taking these rights away from us. And I feel for all of the young women in the country. It is unthinkable, and there will be more protests, and hopefully people will turn up, when there are votes to be taken, and reflect their dissatisfaction with this particular decision. And I wanted us to acknowledge, in a resolution form, the fact that we support the rights of all women to control their own bodies. I don't think the word abortion has to be used, because basically this is taking away the rights for us to choose what we opt to do. That's all.
All right, so we'll have that as a resolution for the next council meeting to be voted on. So if you have any suggestions or wording that you'd like to see, contact Bill, because I think he's going to be the primary person working on this. The other resolution, Yancy, are you familiar with this one, the lead?
I just quickly read through it right now. It's pretty much to sign an MOU with Bergen County Department of Health Services for the childhood prevention of lead poisoning. I think this, David, I'm not sure if you're familiar, I think this is a new law that was enacted by the legislatures that requires municipalities to now work on this, so I'm guessing the Bergen County is going to be the lead agency.
That's correct. The
to
county
assist
is the lead agency on this.
Yeah, and they'll assist the city with its the new legal requirements now for lead prevention.
Okay. Still an important health problem, so definitely I think this should be pretty non-controversial, so we'll have this as a resolution at the next meeting as well. Some items for discussion. I think Councilman Hamer, these were requested by you?
Correct. The first one is an exit sign, actually, on Route 4, the westbound section of Route 4, approaching Decatur Avenue. It's unsafe. The current signage is hidden behind trees, and the request is that we put it, and actually that signage is on the Teaneck property. But my request is that we have a new sign erected on Englewood's property, just west of the gas station, the last gas station that's there, so that it would notify people that the exit is approaching. There are too many near misses and too many accidents that take place at that intersection in its current state, and it's unsafe. Teaneck has chosen not to do anything about it, and I think it is the right thing for everybody, including Teaneck residents, to give greater visibility to the exit that's coming up. So that's what it's about. I've also contacted Senator Johnson's office to get assistance with Department of Transportation and let them know. So they're working on it as well, but I certainly want us to do whatever we can do to move this along.
Now, David, is that something the city can do, or we need?
We would need DOT
Okay.
approval to place a sign.
And then we would eventually need a resolution saying that we agree with it, or?
We can pass a resolution urging the DOT to
Okay.
investigate.
I'd rather be proactive.
Yeah, so if we can, you or Bill can write a resolution. And I know you might not be familiar exactly where that is, but Bill probably is, or
Okay.
Councilman Hamer could give a more precise information on that. And then the second item?
The next item is engaging a planner to have a discussion. We started a conversation with Mr. Bailey a couple of years back, actually almost 3 years ago, with regard to having banners erected or allowed in the business district. And Bill recommendation was that we engage a planner to, you know, finish the work, you know, review it, and come back to us with findings so that we could, you know, decide whether or not we're going to take action on it. Bill has done a good bit of the work, but whatever he's done, he said that he could turn over to the planner, whomever we engage. And this is merely a step in that direction or the next step in that direction to get this discussed.
Yeah, so, just so you know what, I discussed with, interim city manager Watkins, you know, whether he thought we needed a planner for the whole city. He didn't think we needed one for the whole city, but we should hire for project by project. So, I don't want to discuss names in public, but, you know, obviously there's been a planner we've been working with who I think we've been pretty happy with.
Correct.
So maybe we can get a resolution to, you know, put him on retainer for specific projects like this.
And
Any objection from the council with that? Or any other ideas? Essentially, you know, instead of hiring a full planner to...
One other comment?
Yeah, sure.
Ken, with the uptick in population and the concentration of population in particular areas of town, I think we do need to engage a planner for, you know, looking at ways to better navigate through the city, both, you know, residential, you know, movement as well as emergency services, how we negotiate or how they negotiate around town, around the city. So there are several things that a planner can help us with.
Yeah.
Ken?
Yeah, please.
I would just like to suggest that the council hire, whether we do it project by project or we put someone on retainer, I would like a planner that is not attached to either of the boards in town. I want a totally independent planner that just works for us and sees things with new eyes. Just that's the reason why in the past names have been submitted to our former city manager and everything just nothing happened. But that's my reason for wanting a separate planner.
Okay. All right, so we move on to bills and claims. So we'll do a motion and a second, and if there are any questions from the council, we can ask Mr. Kaufman about that.
So move.
I second it. So anyone on the council have questions for Mr. Kaufman regarding bills and claims?
Yeah, page 3. Page 3. Annual online solution, 2022 annual bill, and it says code enforcement. What is that?
Sorry, Mr. Cobb, can you bring the microphone closer?
That's their,
Page 3. For $22,500.
this is their software that they use?
This is their software?
Yeah.
So we're not going to see any more. That's it annually? Is this something new?
Yeah.
Is
No.
this something new they use?
No, it's an annual charge.
Okay. And explain to me, go to page 10. We, 13,500 and then 800 for the fireworks. We're paying for that? Or was that, I thought we got a donation for
Yeah,
that?
this is out of a trust fund, so they're donations. It's not part of the budget.
Oh, so you're just showing the transaction coming out of the trust fund?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions for Mr. Kaufman? Okay, so roll call, please.
Councilman Cobb?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Hamer?
Just want to make one comment. There's no question here, but we're voting on a bills list of over $6 million. $6.3 million, close to 6.4. Just want the public to know that 4.8 million of these dollars are being spent as the school tax appropriation. So that's where all of that, most of that money is going. So my vote's yes.
Councilwoman Maren?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes, so that passes. So now, council meeting is open to the public. Any member of the public wishing to speak is asked to come up to the microphone to speak, and please give your name and address, and you have 2 minutes to speak.
My name is Nora Hill. I live over here at Town Center. And I do a lot of walking in the town. So I'm very familiar with a lot of things, but I'm not going to go to sidewalks. Tonight I'd like to focus in on Nathaniel, Humphrey, and Palisade Avenue. And if you ever want to see danger, please stand at that corner for 10 minutes. And you won't believe it. I'm happy that we're going to have cameras, because that will maybe tell people. I mean, we make U-turns on Palisade Avenue. They don't even use directionals now. If they see a parking space on the other side of the street, shoom, they go, and they, you know, you're manually not supposed to do a U-turn on the street. But anyway, my concern is this. People do not understand the traffic system of that thing. It's Palisade Avenue, and there's a red light. Then the people from Humphrey Street are to come out, and that's fine. And then the people from Nathaniel. Now, it used to be when I first moved into this town, and by the way, I love this town, is that you could not make a left onto Palisade Avenue from Nathaniel. There used to be a sign there. Well, now I guess the sign went, and you can. So when I go and I'm facing my building, Town Center, and I'm on the other side of the street, I'm ready to cross Palisade Avenue, the walk sign goes on, I start walking, and the people from Nathaniel are making a left. So now I have cars behind me. And I'm going to tell you, they speed up because that light is short. Now, the other day, some woman, she was in a hurry. So what she did, she was on Nathaniel. She wanted to make a left on Palisade Avenue. But she didn't realize that she doesn't get the green light until after Humphrey comes out. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy that there was not an accident with people coming out of Humphrey. My suggestion is, and I know that it's late, I have a letter from my neighbor that I got to read, Mrs. Bogan. But my suggestion is, please consider a resolution to have a four-way stop there, so that everybody stops, even mothers who are not familiar with that intersection with strollers. As soon as they see the red light on Palisade Avenue, they start to walk across. They don't understand they have to wait for the light for the people to come out of Humphrey. So the whole
Okay,
solution-
thank you, yeah.
Did I talk too much?
We're out of time, yeah.
Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry, but I have this letter from my neighbor, Mrs. Bogan, which,
If you can give it to the clerk, she can copy it and give it to the
all
council.
right, I'll give it to the
Thanks.
council. I wrote on this one, I'll give you another
Okay.
copy, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you, I'm very
Thank
sorry.
you.
So Judy, is this something maybe the
Yes,
traffic advisory committee could
hopefully,
address?
our committee will be meeting in a few weeks, and I will bring that up.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Always stop.
No, I know exactly what you're talking
All
about.
right, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Ava Radigan, and I reside on that place. And I just want to bring a few issues to your attention. And I'm sure my councilman is aware of, going back to our communication back in 2016, that still has not been resolved.
I'm sorry.
There's a big issue, and my driveway is off of Grand Avenue. You have Brookside Avenue, so there's always incoming traffic, trucks that are turning, and traffic that impedes me from getting in my driveway, which
You gotta give us some
Can you
more
hear me
time,
now?
yes.
which is preventing me from getting in my driveway. You have the ambulances that are turning right onto Brookway, off of Brookway onto Grand. I've reached out to the county. The county said it's not their responsibility to address the issue. It's the city of Englewood. I reached out to Mr. Volsey as well as DOT. And DOT said it's a simple problem that can be resolved. The chief of police needs to send in a letter stating what the issue is. They suggest to me that Brookside should be made a one-way where you can make a left turn off of Grand Avenue and not a right turn, because it's an accident waiting to happen. Also, I'm proposing a traffic box. This is a way that the city can generate revenue anywhere from $150 fine to $115. It's a simple, easy fix. So I am asking my city that I love to also love me back. So I need something to be done. And also, I know that the capital budget was passed. During Hurricane Ida, Knapp Place was a disaster. And I need for someone on the council, or maybe the city manager or city engineer, to look into Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake overflowed and caused quite a lot of damage on our block. So I am here representing my block. I love my city, I love my community, but I need these issues that I'm addressing this evening to be looked into. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Judy, is this another one you can discuss?
Well, Brookside becoming a one-way street would be.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
all right, thanks. What?
Mr. Rosenzweig, if I may, Dr. Rosenzweig, Ms. Radigan, this coming Saturday, I made plans with Ms. Minha, who's the Sheffield Block Association leader, to take a walk of Crystal Lake in that whole Sheffield Block corridor. I'll report back to you if you want to speak to me the following week of whatever findings I have, and I'll send them off to the interim city manager also.
Sure, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Pete Jansen, 589 Ridgeland Terrace. I'm not sure if you all noticed, but the last two speakers that came up to this microphone both exceeded the 2-minute limit, which has been imposed just recently compared to the normal city meetings that were pre-COVID. If you go back to the minutes, 2017, 2018, 2019, and look at the minutes, look at the agenda. It says 4 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, not 2. So I would like for the next city meeting for a discussion to be put on the agenda to see about resuming to a normal, non-COVID city council meeting. There's no YouTube anymore. It's in person now, right? There's no more Zoom. You're operating as non-COVID, post-COVID. Can we get back to a decent discussion? Because you want us to be able to share with you things like they just said. You had the meeting today at 7:30, but for an hour and a half, you went into private session. So half the public that came to the meeting tonight was unable to talk to you because they came and saw what was going and they left. And the people that were here were unable to completely express themselves. Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else from the public? Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matthew Rivers, and I'm the owner of The Grounds. It is a retail startup cannabis dispensary. We are a minority-owned business that operates as a public benefits LLC. The public benefits piece is very important to us because The Grounds is rooted in doing social good, not just for the, not just for the community, but also for everything that we happen to touch. Our team has over 60 years of retail operations experience, and I'm here today as a native resident of Inglewood to let you all know that I love an opportunity to open up my business here. I'm already a business owner in Atlanta. I walked away from corporate America during COVID to chase my passions of being an entrepreneur. I recently came back here from Atlanta. I still have my business there. And this is something I'm passionate about that I'd like to get involved in and do right here in Inglewood. Now that said, I understand that right now Inglewood has not opted in. And I'd like to get some more information to understand if there's an opportunity, one, to do that. And then also at the same time, as the elected representatives, what does the best imaginable retail cannabis dispensary look like in the business community of Inglewood, to all of you? That's all I have.
All right, thank you for coming. So I don't know if you saw, if you go back to, I'm sorry, I forget which date it was, but we had a presentation from our cannabis committee. Does anyone remember the date?
It was in April.
April, so 50-50 chance you'll find it. We had 2 meetings in April. It was the one over Passover, so.
It was the second meeting.
Yeah, I think the 17th or 19th. Let's see, my birthday was, okay, I could figure it out, but it's too late for me. But, and so, and I've been working with, Mr. Lafferty's filling in for our regular city attorney tonight, and I've been working with him to have something to present to the council. You've heard the word interim city manager, so that did put that has been the primary focus to get a new city manager, so we've been working on that, but we've been working on something to present to the council for possible cannabis legislation, so it's something that's going to happen this year.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so there are a lot of people, yeah, but certainly your type of business is exactly the type of business I hope to be able to work with. Obviously, it would be the will of the council, so certainly more to come. But if you have a chance on YouTube to look at the April 17th, 19th, whatever that date was, meeting, and just see what was presented to the council, because that's the framework we're going to be using.
Okay.
All right.
Just so you know, I already have the business plan done. I've already found all the funding. I hired a commercial realtor. We actually found an existing property on North Dean Street, which is just 1 block up from City Hall. We've already talked with the landlord. Obviously, there's a lot more in between that still needs to take place, but
Yeah.
we're ready.
That excites some people up here and horrifies some people up here. So just so you know, it goes both ways with that. Okay.
Well, I'll be emailing everybody. I hope
Okay.
we can have some further dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rivers, for coming and staying. All right, so the public session is now closed. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Cohen?
Yes.
Councilman Hamer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Marin?
Yes.
Council President Rosenzweig?
Yes. So the meeting is now adjourned at 10:33. We'll see everyone back in 2 weeks.